part two, and pay attention here because you're not going to see the end coming. One of the side effects of calcium channel blockers is swollen ankles. The reason why swollen ankles occur is because when you're blocking calcium, what does calcium do? It constricts. It constricts. It's one of the things that is in charge of, sort of triggering that constriction. And when it comes to the ankles, which is distal to the heart, that venous return, right? That blood return to the heart gets hampered, right? Because I'm oversimplifying this, but it's like when we're talking about that bellows analogy, it's harder to pump the blood back. So you start to get this pooling in the ankles. And before you jump to any conclusions, just listen to me. Don't get nervous. If we know this is happening, we also know that carbon dioxide must, you get rid of it through the veins. Okay, so when CO2 goes through the Krebs cycle, it permeates through the cytosol of the cell, it eventually goes into the capillaries, into the veins, goes through the veins, into the heart, into the lungs, and then you exhale it out as carbon dioxide. So this venous return of carbon dioxide is being hampered. Okay, so you can argue that there's a carbon dioxide buildup in the body. Too much carbon dioxide. The other day we talked about too little carbon dioxide. What does carbon dioxide do to pH in the blood? It shifts it up or down. So when you have too much carbon dioxide, this is causing the opposite problem of what we described yesterday. This is essentially causing the same problem that a smoker has. And what that would do to everything we described the other day with hydrogen in the cells, potassium in the blood, magnesium and calcium bound to albumin, all of these effects would be hampered. All these electrolytes would start to shift. And so you could argue that you're actually causing a very different type of problem because of the hampered venous return of carbon dioxide to be able to get through the heart and out through the lungs. Okay? Here's the problem. Everything that I just explained to you in terms of the pooling of fluid in the ankles is true. Everything that I just described to you about how CO2 leaves the body is true. The problem is I just punked you guys. I just gave you a classic example of how influencers on YouTube, etc., take half-truths and make it like it is the thing you're missing. And this is how I want to differentiate myself from everybody else, from my clients, because the only thing I care about is you, my family. I don't give a shit about anybody else who watches me other than you guys. I just gave you a very clear scientific reason to be nervous about taking this medication, and it's complete bullshit. Everything that I said in the very beginning is absolutely true about fixing angina, about talking about arrhythmia the other day and poor posture. That's all true. The electron transport chain and oxygen and everything we talked about, that's true. When I talked about the ankle swelling and the venous return of carbon dioxide, I just I'm not making it up, it's all true, but this is not an actual side effect. I just gave you a half-truth, okay? So I can do this for almost anything, and I told you that I would. That's why I did this. I told you I would give you an example of how nonsense gets propagated in media. Here's an example. So hopefully this is helpful for you guys. I'll go through beta blockers tomorrow. But when it comes to medications, I hope this was a very good way of getting you guys to realize you can address the actual cause by means that most doctors will not cover. And then you can get on a better medication and maybe eventually even get off the medication.